Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Tone Talk with Dave Friedman and Mark Uzansky. Tonight on episode 40, our special guest tonight is Jamie Stillman of Earthquaker Devices. Jamie, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. And Dave, what's going on?
Same as every day.
Another day in paradise.
Trying to get new products into production.
Yeah, like the JJ Junior, man.
Yes. And the big amp too, the BE100 Deluxe.
Everybody's begging for that one too.
Yeah. And I know there's not enough time in a day to do everything you need to do. As I'm sure Jamie knows all about.
Yeah. I feel like it takes me years now to get anything done. I don't know what happens.
Yeah, I think the older you get, the more it's like, oh, okay, I gotta do this. Mm-hmm. Then gets distracted by 5 people that walk in your door, or 5 other emails, or 10 other emails, or 50.
That happens to me. I get bored and then just start something else to not finish. That's.
I think I've done that. So Jamie,
a lot of times.
Thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate you taking the time on your Tuesday evening to join us and to share it out to the world that you were going to be joining with us. We appreciate that. Yeah. So, you and Dave go back. You guys know each other for a while?
For a little while, yeah.
Yeah.
The LA amp shows, I do believe, was the first time.
Yeah.
Well, we were a dealer for you too. I don't know what came first. I don't remember.
Around the same time, I think, when we started doing those Van Nuys shows.
Yeah.
Which I missed that hotel. I haven't been there forever, but I felt like I lived there for a minute.
I did. I did. When in its heyday, that show was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah. I always had a good time at those things. Like between the amp show and the pedal show, like it was like every 4 months or 6 months or something like that. And we would stay there for like 4 days at a time. And there's nothing to do there at all. Like, no. I felt like I lived there. I don't know.
No, but you can go sit by the pool if you'd like.
Yeah. Try to scream over the airplanes.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's fun. It was fun. That was fun for a while.
Yeah.
So the attendance sort of started to wane, shall we say? And it wasn't as fun anymore.
That's too bad.
No. I think it could be done differently, maybe. But
is that what's known as?
Maybe no one's interested in guitar anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that people don't like guitar.
Yeah. So
guitar's dead. I couldn't tell it now. That's for sure.
Guitar is dead. At least not in our hall. It wasn't.
Yeah, it's been replaced by cymbals mostly.
Oh yeah, remember when it was Hall D and it had the drums in it and you guys were in it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, that was bad.
Horrific.
Oh well, I exhibited in Hall D too before, so I understood. Yeah.
You lose your voice after like the first hour.
Yeah, you want to just kill everyone and.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. I had to wait in a line to get tickets to that Ultimate Jam night, which was that set for Saturday night. So it was like Thursday. I waited in line in the drum area, and after about an hour of just waiting there, I was like, I have to get out of here.
And drums were your first instrument.
Yes, but not an entire hall.
Drums. I mean, drums are my first instrument too, but I hate cymbals.
Yeah. Yeah, they are piercing.
Yeah,
they are piercing, especially when everybody's just. It's constant.
Yeah, no one common beat.
Oh yeah, it's all over.
It's like Guitar Center on a Saturday, but with cymbals.
Well, that's pretty much what NAMM is anyway. Amplified. It's just Guitar Center on a Saturday.
I hide in my sound room. Then you hear one sound source at one time.
That's true.
True. Well, and then there's the bar.
Yeah. Well, according to this chat right here, just to go back to the LA Amp show, I heard it says that it died when they let Fractal Audio and Kemper exhibit. That's rough.
Wow.
But I will tell you this. I did go to what I believe was a Fractal Audio like TED Talk that they had. And like actually, I'm not even going to talk about it. Let's just say it was brutal. It was rough for me to sit there, and they're like, and then you change the input bright cap to 470 PF. Now here's 220, and after like 5 minutes, I was like, I'm gonna rip my eyes out.
Wow.
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's the level of tweaking some people love.
Yeah.
Some people. So let's turn the table back to you, Jamie.
Okay.
So you guys have come onto the scene big and you know, with so many great pedals, man. Yeah, it's really awesome to see all the stuff that you guys are doing, and especially I came by NAMM and all your people were rocking and rolling with the whole booth was just doing great.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't if you maybe Dave, you think it's cool. We'll just start off, Jamie, if you could tell us like how you got into doing this.
Sure. I started, I mean, I'm relatively new-ish still, but like I started in 2003 or 4. Just I had a broken DoD 250 overdrive. It was an old one, and I really liked it. And I bought a new one to replace it. It didn't sound anything like it, so I looked up a schematic for it to see if I could fix it because it's just a pot. That was all that was broken. And I found General Guitar Gadgets, that website. So I was able to fix the pedal, and I was like all proud of myself. Like, hey, I fixed this pot. Cool. And then I built myself a clone of that from the website and just got obsessed with doing it. And had zero intention on starting a company out of it. I just made myself some pedals, made friends pedals, and then little by little, like I think I made like a handful of things and put them up on eBay, and it actually generated interest, but I don't believe anybody bought anything. Like the first like couple months things were up there. And at the time I was still tour managing, so I was in and out of town all the time, and I was working as a graphic designer too, so that was kind of like my main job. But I had a lot of time. That's where the
graphics come from.
Yeah. That's like you know, it kind of marries the two things that I really like to do, play guitar and graphic design. And, you know, that kind of translated into electronic design, I guess. But yeah, when I was on tour, I had a lot of free time. So I just kind of thought out a loose plan. Like, here is, you know, I'm going to have like, this is what I would like everything to look like. And I'm going to start with like 3 pedals and try to be really good at making these 3 pedals. And then when I came back, that's when it kind of officially became Earthquaker Devices. I think that was like late 2005, early 2006. And it started with the Hoof, which is, you know, based on a Russian Big Muff, a terrible JFET overdrive called the Spectre. But at the time, I was like super excited that I got it working, and it made some loud distortion. And then a pedal called the Tusk, which I really liked. And the Spectre fell off pretty quickly, but the Hoof kind of caught on pretty, you know.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, mostly from Harmony Central.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, when you say you were on tour, so go back a little further with that before you started the pedal company. So what were you doing?
I was in a bunch of punk rock bands. So, I mean, I've been playing music my whole life. Like, I can't remember a time where I wasn't playing music. I started as a drummer. And like, I know there's a photo of me behind a drum set when I was like 5 years old.
Nice.
And for a little while, I lived, you know, my parents and I lived at my grandparents' house, and my uncle Danny was in a band, and he had drums in the basement and guitars and stuff. And he got me interested in drums. He, you know, showed me how to play a couple things, and I just kind of took off. I had like a natural inclination, I guess, to it. So I played drums forever, and I didn't really pick up guitar until I was 12.
So the drums behind you, they remind me of Bonham.
Yeah.
Because of the see-through.
Yeah. Actually, that's my first excessive purchase. Like, once I felt like it was actually like right when we moved. I'm currently in the original Earthquaker shop after we moved out of the basement, and like within like a month of moving here, I was like, I'm gonna buy a really cool drum set. So I bought that from RCI. It's a Tequila Sunrise Vista Light in
I
bottom.
was going to say Vista Light. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a Greta Van Fleet drum kit.
Oh boy.
I don't really know anything about that band, but people really love to give them shit.
They love to give them shit, but my take on it is love them or hate them. It's a young band that young kids are going to see.
Right.
And it's a rock band. So that can't be bad for future bands.
Right.
No, it's good.
That genre. So opens the door, sort of, and they just won a Grammy.
Yeah.
So
shocking. I was shocked about that, but
High on Fire won a Grammy, and I got to tell you that I'm super stoked about that because that means something.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right.
Yeah, that's
like Matt Pike's like a national treasure. Anyway, where was I going with this? So, yeah, there's accessories.
So you switched over to guitar.
Yeah, so I switched over to guitar, and like that's pretty much what I did. So from like the time I was 17 until I was like early 30s, I just toured in my own bands really. And we would play like VFW halls and like kids' basements and anywhere, drainage ditches, didn't matter. And at the time you could do that because gas was essentially free and you could survive off of like $100 and had zero intention of being like a famous dude in a band, but never really thought beyond I'm just gonna be in a band. So that's what I was doing forever. So I was playing drums in a band called Harry at the Spy through the 90s, and then I played guitar in a band called the Party of Helicopters for like 10 years, and we toured all over the place. And eventually, that stuff kind of died out, and I started tour managing for the Black Keys, and I did that for about 5 years.
Right.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's exactly where I wanted you to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It fills in a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So, and that's like probably right around the time where I also started Earthquaker too. It's like mid doing that, and eventually it Earthquaker took over everything. So
for 5 years you worked with
yeah.
And I'm sorry, I missed what exactly what you were doing with them.
So I got hired I've known Pat, the drummer, for a long time, since he was 17. My band Party of Helicopters had just broken up. I kind of had nothing to do, and they were just really starting to take off. So they needed somebody to drive their gear from Akron to Seattle for a show, for a start of a tour. So I did it, and kind of went with them for a few days. Like my memory's a little foggy on this, but I went with them for a few days, kind of saw what was going on with them, and was like, I'll be a tech, I'll be a tour manager or whatever. And then I think like the next big tour they went out, I kind of went out as like a driver / tech, and within like a week I think I was settling the shows, and then I just became like a default tour manager and was with them all the way up until right before the Brothers came out.
Wow.
I think
super cool.
Man. Yeah.
And I imagine they use your stuff too, I imagine.
Yeah. It was like a good, guinea pig, and make a thing and give it to them and they'd use it.
Right.
You play it loud.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, then, so you started off with, what made you decide to start off with those 3 pedals, and what was like the plan? Why did you?
Because I learned how to make them, essentially. Like, it was like I made that DoD 250, and then was like, got excited by that, and like the hoof was like really experimenting with like what does what in a big muff circuit, and pulling things out. And I was like pretty clueless at the time. Like I didn't even know breadboards existed. Like the electronics part of it wasn't the thing that got me excited. It was the sound. Like I could make things to make my guitar sound the way I wanted it to sound. Like that's the thing that I was really excited about. So like I wasn't like researching a ton of stuff. I was reading a lot of like geo effects and just all those DIY websites that were around.
Yeah. Try to gain as much knowledge as you could.
Yeah, and just like be like, okay, well now this is doing this. Let me Google like what my problem is and like find like threads about it or whatever. So that was like the learning curve. And like, I wasn't like, what I was going to say is like, I didn't do a lot of research. I didn't even know breadboards existed. So I was doing everything. Like I'd build a whole big muff on perf board, like point to point, and it wouldn't work. And I just throw it away and start over again. It wasn't until like a year into it where I was like, oh, there's a thing that makes this really easy. And that's when like things really kind of took off for me. And it started like anybody started, like taking an old circuit, seeing how it works, seeing what makes, a difference. And just kind of going from there. And I learned a lot from doing it that way. Pretty quick.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So then what was the next phase? How did it go?
The first like real kind of unique thing was the disaster transport delay, which was like at the time there weren't really a lot of like delays like in the boutique pedal market. And it's based on a karaoke IC, a PT 2399. Now it's like commonplace, old hat. But it had a really unique modulation to it. It was like a sawtooth, or a ramp rather. It would just climb and like rapidly drop off. And it just sounded super interesting to me. And that, I think, the hoof was kind of getting a little bit of notoriety on Harmony Central and forums and stuff like that. And I feel like the disaster transport was a thing where people were like, whoa, what is that? So that was kind of like the turning point. And that was also the start of like just being a little bit more original, I think, in some of the designs.
Yeah. And and Dave was saying also, just to look at your pedals as well.
Yeah.
Just they have a very, I don't know if it's intriguing or if there's something about, like, oh, I want to hear what that sounds like. Kind of thing.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me. Obviously, having a graphic design background is, I just wanted everything to look like you want to play with it, no matter what it did. Like there's something appealing about just having it as an object, and that's like, it's superficial, but to me, it's very important. Just that you want to play it, and a lot of the things that I look at like that. A lot of it's just old gear to me is like most of the time doesn't even sound good, but it just looks like you want to play it. They were trying to make this like super futuristic stuff, and in doing it, it just kind of looked like a space station, but like a 70s or 60s version of the future. Like, I don't know, that always appeals to me.
All right.
No, I agree with you. Speaking of the way pedals look, I'm curious of your thoughts on this, on pedals that obviously say like fuzz, versus, I mean, your pedals. There are other companies that you don't know what the pedal does unless you read up on it. Or I'm curious of your thoughts on that. I know it's intentional, so
I've never really thought too hard about it. Like the original. I guess here's a little bit more background on that. When I first started doing it, all the pedals, I would spray paint them in my garage and then apply the graphics with a water slide decal. And when I was doing that, you could, I did hundreds of them that way. You could do it, you could have really fine print. So like Earthquaker devices could be really small and still legible. And like underneath what the name of the pedal was, it would say what the pedal did. Eventually, I got too busy to keep doing that. So I had to start getting it screen printed. The screen printing, you only have so much detail. So I made that concession, I guess. I just took off what the pedal does and put the name bigger underneath it. And I've never really looked back since. I've recently thought about putting it back on the pedals, but I also kind of like the mystery of it. And then there's like a couple things, like I don't even know what I would put on it. Like, what would I put on the Rainbow Machine? My instinct would tell me to put something super sarcastic on it, like Garbage Maker or something. But like, like what am I gonna put on? I can't name everything. Not everything is like reverb or
right
or something like that. So it kind of sometimes it would just get really confusing. Regardless, we've had like people think all kinds of weird stuff. Really, like they're like whatever is going on in their own heads about like gear. Like we've had people come up and be like, well, this one's blue, so it's chorus, and this one's yellow, so it's overdrive. It's like, well, no, you're wrong, but please tell me more about that process.
But I get that in some way. In some strange way, like, yeah. Like if it was green, people would be like, "Oh, that's got to be a TS9."
Yeah, like there is some stuff like that I think that kind of goes hand in hand. But I do understand like that kind of thought process, and I kind of feel like maybe it's just like based on Boss style.
Right. Right.
They would color code like that. But I don't know. Yeah, it is sometimes confusing to people.
But I like the mystery of it. When I first saw it, it was kind of like, I think I mentioned this maybe to Josh Scott over at JHS as well, where I was just like, I kind of prefer, at least I thought I preferred pedals that at least just said on it, like, this is what it does. But I like the mystery of it too. So
yeah, I like mystery in things. We're not so secretive anymore, but I used to be real secretive.
Well, I guess that stems back really far, though. If you really think about it, think about prescription electronics back in the early,
right.
90s. Swirl painted and don't call it anything. There's nothing on it. Did the experience even have? Well, maybe it had it on the side.
Eventually, it did. That company was always and still is to this day a mystery to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Oh no, I've never met him. Love Pedals, another like mysterious company to me. Like, I have no idea what's going on ever. They're always there.
Mm-hmm.
Prescription. I remember when I saw my first prescription experience pedal. I saw it at
super cool pedal.
Totally cool.
It was a cool.
And somehow the guy got the swell thing to work, and it went back. It did the backwards thing, and I was just like. But then he told me the price, which was $500 at the time, and I was like, "No, okay, thank you."
That's what they go for now, I think.
Yeah, they've gone up a lot.
Yeah, they're expensive. But they're cool. Why? I guess, does he still make them?
No.
So why doesn't somebody actually make that pedal? Like clone it?
Or probably.
Well, I mean, it's based on a Fox tone machine, so there's been lots of people that have made Fox tone machines.
Mm-hmm.
Wayhuge Piercing Moose was a Fox tone machine, and
French Toast.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
French Toast is a great sounding pedal for.
Yeah. Sometimes those little cheap things, they're like awesome. Like you find that one cheap little pedal over the years, and it's like, oh yeah, that one's good.
It's another thing I remember a bunch of from Harmony Central is people always like everyone begging somebody to mod their chicken salad, turn it into. I don't know why that in my head. Yeah,
those were $39 as it was.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just saw someone was selling one, like a Distortion. It was like $10, and for some reason I thought about buying it, but I just passed on it. Would have been cool. So Jamie, so take us through. So the next phase. So
you were in a basement.
I was in a basement. Let's see, like 2006-ish, 7-ish. It just started getting. I got my first dealer, which was Tone Factor, and then simultaneously got an international dealer, 9-volt in Japan, and that's like it really kind of started to take off real quick after that. Like starting about then, like I was building pedals like anywhere from 10 to like 16 hours a day, to a point where like I couldn't function anymore. My hands were just claws. Started going to a chiropractor.
Yeah, your neck hurts because you're hunched over the bench.
Yeah, and then I was doing graphic design too, like real corporate graphic design
to pay the bills at first.
It paid very, very well, and I could work from home.
Yeah, perfect.
Doing that, and I was at home with our kids, and Julie would come home from
bank job.
Yeah, from the bank. Yeah, First Merit, and she would put the switches on the enclosures and the LED bezels in, like get it all ready to kind of just be assembled and wired. We did that for a good year or two, and then bought a slightly larger house because our kids were getting older and the pedal company was bigger. And like I was just like, I'm going to run a pedal company out of the basement forever. So we moved like 2008. And then that is pretty much around the time where that, like, we registered officially as a business and it became a full-time job for me. And I wish I could assign some pedals to these timelines, but I am awful at like remembering that kind of stuff. Even in like our Chris, our videographer, has been doing these like little documentaries on certain pedals that have been around for a long time. When we did the hoof one, I'm gonna give this away. I was off by a year all the way through that thing. So everything I say, I'm a year too early, I think. But
it's okay.
Yeah.
You were busy.
So, yeah, I was busy.
It's a blur.
I started to do things too that were ridiculous. Like like disaster transports took me a long time to build, and they were kind of like in demand. So I just discontinued it rather than like have people wait. I was like, well, I can't make it fast enough. I'm going to make simpler pedals, and discontinued it. And then January 1st, 2010, I hired my first official employee, Jeff France, who still works for us. He's our production manager. He runs the whole production area. We call him Fed.
Cool.
I've known him since I was like 13 or 14.
That's awesome.
Once he came on, like that's when things really started to take off. Like I was, really busy, but didn't know if I could afford having an employee. And the second I got one, like it just exploded. Like everything, we could get things out faster, and kind of started to realize like, how quickly things were moving once we could actually get things out the door. So I brought back the disaster transport.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started making a little bit more complicated things like the bit commander and organizer and dispatch master.
Oh yeah, organizer. I love that one. That's a good one.
Thank you. And then after that, like I started hiring people like once every six weeks almost until like 2012. We had 9 people working in the basement.
Too many people in the basement.
There's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
In the basement.
Yeah.
Is that house you guys are telling me about? That cool house you guys have?
Yeah. It's
yes.
Like an old Tudor that got restored before we moved into it. It's a great house. But yeah, we had all these people working in the basement. The bathroom smelled like homeless people lived in it. It was real rough. And then, we moved out of that into the shop that I'm in right now. And that's when Julie came on full time and took over the business side of things.
Yes.
Which, I should mention, like, that's like, that's really the turning point in Earthquaker.
When someone can run the company for you.
Yeah. And like really knows how, like, business should be done. Like I ran a record label too called Donut Friends Records that I started with like $300 that I saved from Christmas when I was 14. And I was putting out records like out of my parents' basement, but for the love of putting out records, not to make money. But eventually that became somewhat successful as far as punk rock record labels go. So I did that for like 10 years. And that was like my knowledge. Like I ran Earthquaker like a punk rock record label / band, because that's just how I knew how to do things.
Right.
All that essentially means is I made a thing. It costs this much money. You give me that much money for it, and I will give you the thing. And that's it. Like I'm done at that point. Like marketing, I don't know. Like it looked good, like advertising or going out there and being like, hey, I made a thing. I mean, I certainly got really lucky in the beginning because I was not publicizing it ever. It was seriously all word of mouth, and it really, I got lucky somehow.
Speaking of your first employee, so I got a question too. When did I hire my first employee?
Yeah.
This was in the early 90s, and my first employee was George Trips.
Oh, wow.
Of Way Huge.
Well, he needs to come on here too. That's right.
He was my first employee that I hired, and he worked for me. I don't even know how long.
Pre-Way Huge.
Pre-Way Huge. He was just starting to make the Red Llama at the time, just by hand in a bud box. I was there for the start of all that.
Oh, nice.
So, and eventually he left to make pedals because it started to take off.
Yeah, he's doing okay.
Yeah. Well, now he gets paid.
What did he do for you, Dave?
He was this is for rig wiring, making rigs for guitar players and stuff that I was doing in the early 90s and stuff, which I still do today. So he just a solder monkey, so to speak.
Gotcha.
Yeah, early days.
That's cool.
Very early.
First employee.
Yeah. And no, he's not still with me. He's with Way Huge. So.
Yeah, Way Huge. There you go.
Yes.
So so I'm sorry, you mentioned Jamie. Was it Julie? Did you mention?
Yeah, my wife.
So is it that's your wife? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I had read that. So she runs the business with
Yeah.
you, or
Yeah. So we kind of, I mean, now there, there's a ton of people involved now, but when she first came on, she just took over right away. Like anything that has to do with money, she handled it, and I know all the design, and that's pretty much to some extent the way that it still works. But now we have like marketing department, and she's got assistants, and we have other people who do things that both of us used to do by ourselves. So. But essentially, if I had, you had to boil it down, I make the pedals, she runs the business. And
that's cool.
When someone has time to think about like, what should we do? It's good. It really works.
Right. When someone's dedicated to just doing that as opposed to being bombarded.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, cool. It was always just kind of like keeping up. Like everything that wasn't designing a pedal was like a distraction that I was trying to get through. If that makes any sense.
So now you guys have grown pretty large. So now you're in a new building.
Yeah, we moved into our current shop, which is about 15,000 square feet, in about 3 years ago. And we have, but by the time we moved out of this place, we moved into the where I'm at now, we had like 12 people, I think. By the time we moved out, we had 33 or 35, and now we have a little over 50.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people, but we just kind of continued doing the same thing I used to do when I was in the basement. So it's like we have just total control all over everything. So, most of those people populate circuit boards, drill enclosures, things like that. But they're all, super, knowledgeable about Earthquaker. Like they've all done almost everything there is in the process of designing pedals, and, all extremely knowledgeable. Like when we do trade shows or have events at our shop and things like that, they're all the people working it. They know everything in and out.
I probably spoke to about 5 of them asking where you were.
Yeah.
During
I think that might be their most common question is, "Where's Jamie?"
Yeah.
But like, what they don't know is that they're actually looking for Julie most of the time. Like, but that's yeah, funny. I'm in like one of 2 places. If you need to find me a name, I'm either in our meeting room, but most likely I'm outside the door smoking. That's
that's what one employee said. If you look out there, he may be out smoking.
Yeah, it's like the best
you weren't.
meetings though. It's like right outside the door. It's quiet.
That was
quiet. Yeah. That's a good place to have meetings, actually.
Yeah.
So a couple things before we go more. Let's just address a couple things in the top chats and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Sure. So Chatter, Kung Pao, yes, okay. Yeah, maybe. That's all I want to say to that one.
So what? Where?
He asked EQD plus Friedman crossover pedal like an angry driver or a Jan Ray tube screamer BEOD data corruptor. Cheddar, thank you for the money.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Wow, I just saw that. Yeah.
Someone else, Gustav Bertelson, said Mike Matt Pike for president. Love the show, guys. So thanks for the money. And then someone else.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, and then Mark asked, Dave, any experience or feedback regarding Mesa Barbara amps? Many say the M0OD is and the Trinity feel and sound like an improved SLO amp. I don't really. I've never actually played one. From what I understand, and from some of the gut shots I've seen, yes, very much SLO. So,
really?
Very, very much SLO.
Mm.
The new one, I'm sure, is quite different, but I think it's starting from there. Yeah.
Okay.
All these questions over here.
There was a question for Jamie, and Timothy Pierce asked it. Not Tim Pierce, not the Tim Pierce, but Timothy Pierce.
One of our regular watchers.
Yeah, so he wanted to know what's your go-to amp and guitar for when you're testing pedals, like your platform.
For years and years and years, it's been this slightly modded deluxe reverb.
Good choice.
Just a 65 reissue. All I did was remove the bright cap. I replaced the speaker with a hemp cone. Is it tone tubby? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it in a while. Hemp cone tone tubby speaker.
Yeah, a little bit more Celestian that way.
Yeah, I think that's all I did to it, and I used just the input one without the tremolo and reverb. I think it's a little bit warmer, a little bit flatter on that side. And guitar wise, I somehow just stuck with this pink Nash Telecaster with Fralin pickups in it, just standard Telecaster pickups. That's like my everyday. I'm playing through this. I know what this stuff sounds like exactly. So that's what I use. But after that, I kind of take it through a bunch of things. Mostly, I just use it in my own band. My pedal board's on the floor over here, and it is full of potential future Earthquaker pedals. And that is a Marshall Super Lead through a Marshall 810 cabinet.
Yes.
The greatest cabinet ever made. I have bought and sold this cabinet a bunch of times, and now I just decided that
the Marshall 810 cabinet's cool.
That's just what guitars should sound like, as far as I'm concerned.
It is a cool cab.
And the Marshall head is new for me, as about a year ago. But prior to that, I was using a Music Man HD 130, which I love. I love that amp. People think I'm crazy because it's a solid state. But
no, some of those are quite cool.
Actually. Yeah, I love that thing. But I have a bunch of amps, a lot of weird things, mostly Ames Producer. Was another favorite of mine. I have a 68 Bassman that I really like a lot. A Tremolux. I use that a lot. And then what else? A Gretsch T16, I think is what it is. It's like a Supro clone, little 5-watt, 5-inch speaker. Harmony 460 something, which is like a Thunderbolt clone, old amp. Those are like some of my favorites that I'll run things through. And then guitar-wise, I've got so many guitars. It's embarrassing how many guitars I have. So
I understand your plight.
Yeah, I'm looking up my wall in front of me too, going, oh yeah.
Yeah, so I have too many. They're just like laying around my house at times. My wife has to move them just to sit down.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that I sell them and then they multiply. Like the ones that are left are like, they multiply.
Well, I have a problem occasionally with really weird guitars that I'll just find on eBay for cheap or something, or Reverb or something, and it's like, oh, look at that. Wait, it's only $600. Okay, click. Why did I buy that?
Yeah, I got a lot of those problems.
Why did I buy that?
They're problems. Somebody's asking me, what do I like about Jazzmasters? Just got one and I'm loving it. MH333. So the Jazzmaster is my favorite guitar, and it's mostly just because I have a beard and wear tight pants. That's the only reason why I like them.
You can be a hipster.
Yeah. So the reason why I like Jazzmasters is because my main guitar forever, when I was touring a lot, was an Epiphone Scroll, an SC550. It's a model they made in like the late 70s for a little while, but it's real long. It's like the size of a precision bass. I have it here somewhere, but I'd rip this mic out if I go to get it. It's just a big guitar, like from end to end. And over time, I started to really like prefer the sound of like a Stratocaster, just single coil pickups. I like lower output single coil pickups. So I kind of gravitated towards a Jazzmaster, which I had one in the 90s, but I just didn't bond with it. But I didn't know about all of the tricks, like, replace the bridge, like angle the neck back so you can get some more tension on it, actually have it set up. You could replace the pickups. So somewhere in like, I don't know, 2008 or 9, I got a really good deal on a 68 Jazzmaster and realized like it's just the length of it pretty closely matched that Epiphone. So it just felt more natural to me, but it sounded a little bit more like a Strat. So that was the point that I kind of fell in love with it. And I love the vibrato on those guitars. So now I have an insane amount of Jazzmasters, and they're all wired weird. I pretty much, my standard go-to is just wiring them like a Les Paul, disconnecting all the stuff here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and just using humbuckers. I've got like Novak humbuckers, and there's a company from the UK called Creamery. I've used a bunch of their pickups, and I really like the Seymour Duncan Custom Shop, like 59 Jazzmaster pickups. I have those in a bunch of guitars too. But there's just something about the length, just the way they feel. They play good. I also like guitar to be a little bit of a struggle. So like the old-timey Radius, I like that.
Higher action?
Yeah. Well, no, I do like the action to be low because I learned how to play guitar on an Ibanez, like a
shredder guitar.
Yeah, like the budget version of the Steve Vai guitar. Because the
gem.
Yeah, that was also a 550 or something like that, 560, whatever it was. It was neon yellow. That's all I know. Real, like the wizard neck and real low action. And ever since then, like I like low action, but I like the 7.5.
Oh, okay.
Radius.
So the Radius is tough to bend and everything.
Yeah, that's the thing that I like. Although I got this really nice like Warmoth Jazzmaster I put together that has like a 59 profile neck and like that compound radius that they do. God, this is like, I rarely get this nerdy. Like,
well, this is how we love getting nerdy.
Like nobody.
Believe me, this whole show is built around this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love the like a compound radius. Like what is it? Like 10 through 16?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, that's too easy. That makes everything too easy. And now it's like, yeah, that's great. That's super easy.
Oh yeah, then get some stainless steel frets on it, and then it'll just glide.
Speaking of weird guitars, there's one that I bought that was a very weirdo. That wasn't that long ago. Was a Guild SC60. You ever seen one of these weird shaped Guilds? It's a set neck Guild. It's 24 frets, and the SC60 has 2 single coils in it. You'd probably appreciate it.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, Guild SC60, really weird. This one's a 70s brown with a black pickguard, and the SC60 is cooler because the pickguard looks cooler.
Now I got to look it up.
So it's like one of the most comfortable guitars to sit there and play that you've ever felt.
Oh, I have one of those.
Oh, there you go. See?
I didn't know that was. Mine's the S70 though. It has
is that humbucker or something?
3 single coil pickups in it.
Oh, okay.
Oddly enough, that's the guitar. My version of that looks fucking amazing. I bought it from Rock and Roll Vintage. It looks like it was caught in a fire. It's like,
is that it?
Yeah.
Well, that's one of them.
Mine has 3 pickups in it. The 60 I think has 2. The 70 has 3.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. I don't remember what the humbucker is. But my uncle Doug had one of those, and that was like one of the guitars I learned how to play on when I was younger.
Well, they're really quick, fast neck, small neck, really action's really good, and it's incredibly strange shape. But when you sit it even on your lap, it's like one of the most comfortable instruments to set and balances so perfectly. It's weird. I just bought it. I'm like, oh man, that's really weird. I want it.
Yeah. No, those are great guitars.
Yeah. I'm actually going to change it though. I'm going to put 2 mini humbuckers in this one.
Yeah. I kind of wish
that'd be kind of cool.
Had a little bit of just a little bit more output.
Yeah. I was thinking mini, somewhere between the two,
Yeah.
Well, when you were talking about that Nash Telecaster with Lindy Fralin pickups, that guitar's got to sound great.
It sounds amazing. Like it changed my mind on a lot of things. I got to be honest. Like oddly enough, Dave, you were just talking about Guitar Riot. We did a clinic at Guitar Riot, and that was the guitar I chose while I was there to use. And prior to that, I wasn't like I wasn't like the biggest fan of like relic guitars, and was sort of a like, well, if I'm gonna get a Telecaster, I'll get a Fender Telecaster or whatever. That was the guitar that like totally changed my mind. That guitar is amazing. Like, it's the opposite of what I would typically gravitate towards. Like, it's like a shell, not even a shell pink. I don't know what it's like a coral.
Probably supposed to be shell pink, but yeah. It's funny you say that, because I have a well, since we do guitars now, this is the worst thing ever. Start making guitars and then see how you feel about. It's like, oh, that one's really cool. Oh wait, maybe that's coming home with me.
Yeah, well, because building pedals was my hobby and it became my job like 6 or 7 years ago. I started building guitars as a hobby.
Oh yeah,
and very loosely building. Like, I would get the necks and bodies, and paint them and assemble them or whatever. And like, I kind of went overboard. Like, I'd start, this is kind of like, pedals. It's like, I'd start one, get bored with it, start another one. So at some point I had all these projects going on, and it became overwhelming and started to feel like a job. But like, I'd get done with one and be like, yeah, this wasn't what I was hoping for. And then start on the next one.
Well, at least it didn't cost you as much, right?
And like, a little by little, I've been putting them up on reverb here and there, just when I feel like, it's time for it to move on. But
it's always painful when you put one of your own builds up for sale.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, I put that much into it, but I know I'm not going to get that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, sort of the troubling thing. I'm always just looking for this magic guitar, and I don't know if I'm ever going to find the magic guitar. I've come close. The 68 Jazzmaster is close. That Nash Telly is close.
What is it that you're looking for? I'm curious.
Oh, it's like just the way. I can't even really, how it is.
Will you ever find the perfect one? No.
Yeah, it's like you pick up the guitar and like once it makes you play guitar,
right?
Like, and like write things you wouldn't naturally do, and then the way it reacts with the amp. And I change pickups constantly in guitars, and like I found that like pickups that I thought were garbage in one guitar, I could put them in the exact like I could take Jazzmaster pickups that I thought sounded like crap, put them in exactly another Jazzmaster, and all of a sudden that combination totally works. Like, that guitar has come to life. So it's like, I'm constantly still, for whatever reason,
tweaking
for that. Like, always like, one of these is going to be the most perfect thing.
Right.
And then, the humidity will ruin the whole thing. So whatever.
Well, that's probably why we all own so many guitars, right? Because like, oh, I don't have that, so I might as well get that. Like, I still feel like I need to get a Les Paul with a Floyd Rose on it. Like, even though I probably have 15 guitars with Floyd Roses on them, but why? Because it's cool.
Good enough answer.
Oh, Sammy got to you, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh, well, Sammy's is awesome too. Yeah, I think he said it was an Axis.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, him, Neil Sean. I've always wanted a Les Paul with a Floyd.
I just bought my first guitar with a Floyd Rose on it. No, well, I had that Ibanez. Technically, my parents bought me that for my first.
Right.
But I bought a neon pink BC Rich Gunslinger.
Man!
At the Gaki Fair this year in Japan for $90.
What?
It is one of the best guitars that I ever played.
Wow.
So I was on this hunt for a long time, and I still am. So if anybody has one, there's like
careful when you say that on the show.
BC Rich Gunslinger, single pickup. I think the guy's name is Robert Nagel. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. He made a handful of these guitars, and they're like women's faces over a grid.
Oh, the art Nagel, the artist, yeah.
I've been hunting one of those forever, and about a year ago, some guy put 3 of them up on Reverb, but he would only sell them together. and he wanted $9,000 for it, which is too much. So if you have one for $1,000 or less, please let me know.
Which brand did you say it was?
A BC Rich Gunslinger, the single pickup, and it like they're all the same. Like if you look them up, Robert Nagel, Nagel, it's like a woman's face over like a weird grid pattern of like shapes.
Yeah, very 80s.
Yeah, CC DeVille had, I think, all of them at some point.
Because I remember seeing a Kramer that had that. I remember. I think
and there were some Jacksons too, but in particular the BC Rich. I love that reverse headstock. I don't know what it is about it. But it's like that, not the kind of guitar that I would typically be into, but like I really like them.
Gotcha. That's cool. Hey, we got a question here for you. This was from Michael Kopstein. He sent me this question. Can you ask Jamie the stories behind the Depths and the Avalanche run? He said they're some of my most used pedals.
Sure. The Depths was my attempt to make a small Univibe that sounded like a Univibe. There's not really much to it. I probably built like 10 different versions of it before I ended up doing it just with LDRs. Simple kind of op amp based, pretty much all pass filters, like just a phaser, but staggered. It's not like a modded phase 90 or whatever. I think a lot of people do that. There's a little bit more going on to that.
But it doesn't have the optical.
No, it does. It uses an LED and LDRs instead of
okay, I got you.
The actual bulb, and runs off at 9 volts. It took a long time to get it to the point that it was at. I think I worked on that pedal for 2 years, like almost the whole time that we.
Well, it's not that easy because all the different tolerances of the little LDRs, and the light bulbs, and gain matching the. Oh God.
Yeah, and it's still a pain. Like the place I get those LDRs from are in and out of stock of those things constantly, and they're terrible at communicating. And we'll buy 5,000, 10,000 of them at a time, but every once in a while, like you're in danger of running out, and it's kind of a panic. And like it really just doesn't work without those.
Yeah.
And then Avalanche Run. Avalanche Run is the first. So we decided that we needed to have like a DSP platform that was more powerful than what we had been using, which is an FB1. So I hired a guy to help design a platform from the ground up that we could design a lot of different DSP, based effects in. And the Avalanche Run was the first one. And the goal with that pedal was, we have another pedal called the Dispatch Master. It's a delay and reverb. It's a very popular pedal for us. People were always requesting tap tempo and stereo, and it just couldn't be done. Like that isn't that powerful. It's kind of maxed out where it's at. So that was the first goal, is how can we make something that sounds as good, if not better than that, and kind of retains all the things that I really liked about like analog delay too. And then it has a somewhat unique way of doing its reverse delay, which we actually have a patent on. I was just as surprised as our IP attorney that it was possible to do that, and then we got it. And then,
so explain that.
Well, reverb. It's just a way of doing the delay where it's like kind of two delays. It can do instantaneous reverse delay, so you can crossfade between forward and reverse delay with an expression pedal. So it's like two delays working at once in like a circle. And the patent paperwork is available online somewhere if anyone wanted.
Wow, that's cool. That's super cool.
And I work with a DSP engineer for that because that's not really my forte. And we work really well together. And that was kind of the first thing where I really like sat side by side with somebody else. And he's been in the industry forever. Like he worked at Line 6 and Alesis and all this stuff. And he's a great guy, really smart. And like we think a lot alike. Like even though he just does, code basically and develops digital stuff, like he thinks how I think. Like everything must be physical and there shouldn't be like menu diving and screens and things like that. So it was like a really good process. And something that I really enjoy doing. I've been doing a bunch of it, like coming up with the concept and working with someone together to get it done.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah. So that was first pedal with that, and it's it's done really well. First pedal with tap tempo for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those are the
Cool.
stories with those.
Good stuff. Someone asked the question, Willis Wham, is it hard to get endorsed by Earthquaker?
I wouldn't know.
I don't handle that.
Right.
Yeah and no. I mean, there's a lot of like stuff you have to fill out and a lot of requirements for it. And really what it all kind of boils down to is, are you,
visible?
Like visible.
Touring?
Are you touring? Are you like being an active like musician?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to do good stuff with it? Which it's kind of like that's a gray area for me a little bit. Like everyone's an artist. Like if you play guitar, you're an artist. So I'll clear this up. Terry St. Cummings, too many dudes try to get free gear. It's sad. We don't really give a lot of stuff away. A lot of people think we give stuff away. We don't really give a lot of things away.
Mm-hmm.
Usually like an artist endorsement is kind of like an artist discount. I mean, there's, it depends on a lot of factors. There are some levels of free gear, but it's not all free. And I don't really think anybody's really doing that. It's expensive.
No, you can't. I mean,
I thought you were giving out BE 100s, Dave. Like,
oh yeah, giving them out left and right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's our motto. That's why we have all the players we do. We just give them away.
That's why everybody's coming over to Freeman.
No,
would you ever consider
even Jerry Cantrell has paid for all his amplifiers.
Mm-hmm. I like this question. Would you ever consider sponsoring Vinnie Vincent? Such a random
that's
name.
the question. That's the question.
Name to pull out.
Wait.
Someone asked that?
Oh, now who are you addressing that to?
Only if I could go back in time to the Vinnie Vincent invasion.
Yeah.
Was he a Kiss for a while?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And have you seen him recently?
No.
Oh. You need to Google that.
Okay.
But then he came out with that he was going to be touring and cancel all the shows, I heard.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, there was. It's a strange situation. So
okay.
So someone goes for me on here. Someone says only Jimmy Page gets a free amp. Yep.
There you go. There you go.
Yes, that's a yes.
And
if he likes it,
we know somebody who's working with him.
If he likes it and you're going to use it.
That was a super cool show last time, also with Mitch Colby.
I will also tell anybody this too. If Jimmy Page wants everything that I make for free, I'll give it to
him. I'll send him a box, a care package.
Exactly. Exactly. Hey, I got a question for you, Jamie. This is from Robert Steising. Sorry if I say your name wrong. Did you name your company after the wrestler, the Earthquake? Big fan of the pedals and pro wrestling.
No, I actually don't follow pro wrestling, but Earthquaker was I had some friends in a band called the Minus Tide from West Virginia, and they would always joke about starting a heavy metal band called Earthquaker. And they yelled it enough that I was like, it just stuck in my head. And when I started making pedals, had I known it was going to turn into a company, I would have never called it Earthquaker Devices. But I was like, yeah, I got to put a name on this. I'll call it Earthquaker Devices. And then like when it started to kind of become a thing, I really didn't like the name. And now it's grown on me. I'm fine with it. That's fine.
Why didn't you like it? Was there any particular reason?
I don't know. Like, it's just not, to me, it feels a little like showy, a little boasty, like Earthquaker Devices. And I'm not, it wasn't the intention. I just kind of thought it was funny. Also totally unaware of that Earthquaker, like PA system thing that they tried to market in the 70s.
Oh yeah, I don't even know
Remember
what
that? It's like a surround sound, like the first like surround sound movie theater system or something like that. It's supposed to have a ton of bass.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Someone asked Robert Stysian says, "What's the best shoe for being on your feet at NAMM all day?" I like Nike Monarchs.
I like anything that's super comfortable. Let me tell you.
Yeah. You know, it's weird. Like about 3 years ago at NAMM, whatever shoes I chose to wear were super uncomfortable. So I went to an outlet mall and bought a pair of Echo shoes.
Right.
Where like those are like they're kind of like secretly orthopedic.
Mm-hmm.
They looked all right, and I have actually been wearing those shoes ever since.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny. Yeah. That's age too.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of us, as we get older, especially standing on your feet on concrete. Well, what's worse yet, walking around at NAMM, it gets even worse because you're on the hard concrete and there's no pad. At least in our booth, we have a pad underneath the carpet, so it at least helps a bit. But anytime I remember used to do tech gigs and stuff and standing on concrete at a venue, like outdoor venue all day long, and your feet by the end of the day, you just feel like you're from the knee down, your legs were dead. So yes, and then I see some young, like I think one day at NAMM, one of our guys wore Converse, and I go, "You're going to regret that."
Yeah, those shoes.
And sure enough, he goes, "Dude, you were so right." Yeah. Trust me.
Yeah, it's a pair of Chuck Taylors.
No, you don't do NAMM in those. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
No.
Unless you're a very, very small, light person.
Yeah, I wore
that's young.
Some like slip-on Vans to the setup day, and I was only there for like 2 hours, and that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back to the orthopedic shoes. Yeah.
No cushion. Yeah, exactly. New Balance for me.
I have a set of Merrells I like that I wear.
Well, that's cool. I never heard of Merrells.
Oh, Merrell's a good high-end shoe.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to look into it. I need new shoes. Timothy West says, "Hey Jimmy, what's your favorite DAM pedal and variant of tone bender?"
Oddly enough, I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna move with my wire. These two.
Ooh.
Hang on, keep them up. Keep them up. Ooh, nice.
Yeah, one is the professional Mach 2, and the other is the Red Rooster, Super Rooster. This thing is amazing with a Marshall.
Wow.
One of the best guitar sounds ever. They just happen to be here. It's weird. Typically, I don't have like a bunch of pedals around here. They're all in my basement and collecting dust.
So when we did the show with Josh Scott, yeah, he might have a problem with the pedal collection thing.
Yeah, I got a real.
He might have a big problem. not only does he have one of them, but he has every color and every version of the same pedal that has ever been done.
Yeah,
you like look at it and you go, really? There's 4 clones right there.
Yeah, I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
I guess. I do have 2 clones, and I got to tell you, it's not a favorite pedal of mine. But you know, I guess I have them. The one in the big enclosure looks great. Such a good looking pedal.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever gooped your electronics?
No. Why do that?
It doesn't really matter because even if you goop your electronics, guess what?
Yeah.
Some person is going to pick it apart and figure it out anyway.
Yeah. It is true. I don't know. I've never thought they need to be too secret.
And then there'll be like 4 or 5, 10 people that build the pedals after they figure it out, and that's about it. Doesn't really hurt your business anyway.
Right.
No.
Because most people can't possibly hold a soldering iron, let alone read the schematic.
I used to go looking for that kind of stuff because I kind of found it fascinating, like that. What's that website? Free Stomp Boxes.
Yeah, Free Stomp Boxes. Yeah.
Or like,
I made them work a little bit. On our BEOD, That took him a while.
Yeah,
I was kind of watching it, going, not quite, almost getting there, but it took him a while.
Yeah, I think I helped with something one time. I haven't been there in a minute, but I did enjoy it. I liked watching. I don't know. It was just stupid.
I understand.
But I liked watching them rip apart my designs because it's sort of like, and this is a little bit egotistical, but it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, it's a pile of garbage, and I clearly don't know how to make pedals, but I've also sold thousands of that. So
Yeah.
Like, all right, guy, thank you.
Right.
I understand your feelings.
Yeah, but then there'd be like times where like they would point out a thing that I knew was wrong, like just like whatever, like these traces are a little bit too close together or something like that. But this is the only place it could fit. No one will know. And then there they are, X-raying the circuit board. Who knows how?
Mm-hmm.
Fine. But
That's hysterical.
Yeah, never gooped anything.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that people go that far. What's the name of that site?
Free Stomp Boxes, I think.
And these people are just ripping apart the
freestompboxes.org. Every pedal known to mankind you can find.
Is completely backward engineered. And,
pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, not everything, but a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if they're still doing it or whatever, but
yeah, they are. They're still there.
Great.
Wow.
It's enjoyable for a minute,
Nice.
and then infuriating at the same time. But whatever. It's helpful for some people. I mean, that's just the modern version of like general guitar gadgets or whatever. It's like for angry people though. But I mean, it's helpful, I think, for people learning how to do stuff, like seeing what other people do.
Yeah. That's how you learn anything is you pour over schematics of other things, and oh, they did it that way, huh? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Just like everything. It's the Fender 410 Bassman was taken from the RCA tube manual, so obviously someone poured over that.
Right. Yeah.
And then Marshall just stole the 410 Bassman, and then it slowly goes down from there.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, everything at some point or another is just a basement.
Derivations of everything else. Vance Voltron wrote something that really cracked me up. He said, "Isn't NAMM all older guys in camp shorts?" And then he meant camo shorts. I'm like, well, certainly, yeah. There's a lot. I wore jeans, but I definitely classify in the older guy. Oh, actually, the third day I wore my cargo shorts. So
the last day I wore shorts. I wore jeans the rest of the time.
Yeah, I find jeans are better, at least for me. I'm
in shorts. I'm in California. I'm in shorts almost 24/7.
Yeah, and I'm in Florida, so it's the same thing. I'm always in shorts unless I'm traveling. I'm wearing something else.
I got like a weird aversion. I don't know. It's like a mental block. I got an aversion to shorts. If I'm ever wearing shorts, it means I'm about to die.
It means you're what?
It means I'm about to die, or I'm on vacation. Those are the options. I don't know what it is. Like it can get real high here. I will always just be wearing jeans. I don't know.
Yeah, some people are like that. Some people aren't.
Yeah. Well, with my legs, I should be wearing jeans all the time. But Willis Wham had a question for Jamie. Does Earthquaker have a good pedal for brown sound?
Oh no, I don't think we do. Oddly enough, that's like one of my favorite guitar sounds. Is like early Van Halen.
That's a good one.
I feel like that's what people usually associate with brown sound. Am I right on
that? That's what people associate with the Great Holy Grail Marshall-y sort of rock tone. Yeah,
I wouldn't say that we have anything that really nails that. I have attempted. I have something that never really came out. It's all JFET based overdrive, but no, we don't really have anything. I wish we did.
Okay. All right. Well,
I think he left it for me.
Yeah. Sounds great. That's a great pedal.
The BEOD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is a great pedal.
It's got gain.
It does.
Lots of gain.
And you know what, Dave, I was messing with the deluxe, the BEOD
Oh, yeah.
deluxe.
That's more versatile.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? You can. I'm telling you, I went into the back and I messed with the dip switch, or at least the trim pots in there. Yeah, because I wanted more gain because it was backed off pretty much. There was so I made the higher gain channel even more higher gain, and it sounded great. So
remember this talk we've had: play with less gain.
Yes.
No, just for the upper channel, I wanted higher gain. Yes, but I do.
I can't win. I can't win. It's like some people want it the super high gain, and other people are like, "Oh my god, it's way too much." I'm like, okay,
you can back it off.
Yeah. That's why there's gain controls.
Yes.
Yep. And your volume controlling your guitar and everything else. So.
And then I put, and then also really that pedal's really sort of made to go into a clean amp. Not so much the deluxe. The BE Deluxe, the lower gain channel can work in a semi-gritty amp. But ideally it was designed for clean amps.
Yeah.
It was designed to be a little pedal that you can travel in and play through a Deluxe like Jamie has and just get that raging Marshall kind of blistering sort of hard rock distortion. That's the idea of that pedal. So that's what it does.
Mm-hmm. And that's a Brown Sound pedal.
Yeah.
So, Robert Bogdan says, "Is that a Mellotron in the background?"
It is. I got that a few years ago. Apparently, it still belonged to Mark Mothersbaugh, but it was in the basement of a doctor's office, like 10 miles from here. And he also apparently, speaking of Van Halen, has the board that Van Halen 1 was recorded on.
Really?
That's the rumor.
Huh.
But I don't know what this dude's deal is. Like he's a doctor or a dentist or something, and in his basement is like a full recording studio with all this crazy gear. I got that, and I got an EP3 from him for real.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was like $300 or something like that.
Oh, good.
He needs the input jack replaced, and I still haven't done that.
Well, like any good gear builder, if there's a project to do for themselves, oh God, it sits forever.
Yeah, you know what I have that is fucking nuts? I should actually get it because I don't know what else to do with it than show it to people. But have you ever seen that pedal board that was like floating around the internet like 10 years ago? And it's like a spaceship. It's like a gold wedge. It's like somebody's 70s project. And they have like a claw on one side with a space echo.
No, I don't believe I've seen that.
Like Paya kit, like rack effects.
No.
And this amp, and it has this huge like 50-pin connector.
Yeah.
It was like making the rounds on the internet. I walked into my friend Ben's studio. This was probably like 6 years ago, and it was sitting there. It was like he had this thing that was like this myth on the internet, and I don't know where he got it from. He was decided to get rid of it. I ended up buying it, and it's probably like the peak of this. Like, I will never fix this, but I want to. So bad.
Oh boy,
but it does. Because whoever made it is crazy. Like it's a brand new space echo. It's never been used, but there's like wires out from every head and a jack for every one of them. It's nuts. It's seriously insane.
You got to send us a picture. I want to post it.
Yeah, I will. There's like a little website dedicated to it too. I can't remember what it's called. It's amazing. I'll send you a picture of it. It's like
totally fun.
Yeah, that sounds super cool.
I actually asked Analog Man, I think, Mike, if he would be interested in fixing that and a bunch of other shit that I have that doesn't work. Like I got one of those like original like rack electro.
Can I send this to you?
Yeah, and then his response was like, "I got 10 of these things. I can't fix it." I have so much gear that I'm never gonna get to. It needs repaired. But that thing works. I actually had to send the Mellotron away to Custom Vintage Keys in Burbank, and he did a great job restoring it. Sounds great.
Cool. Oh, cool. Robert Baker was in the chat. What's up, Robert? Looking
there's a whole bunch of little questions in there.
Okay.
So many at one point I've lost track where they are now.
So Pat him old asks, what are some of your favorite boutique amp makers, Jamie?
Me? Dave? Dr. Z. I really like the looks of those Benson amps, but I have to say I haven't played through any of them.
Oh, they look really cool.
Yeah.
I haven't played through them either.
I played through the Tone King, the Imperial. It was one of my favorite amps. I don't own one, but it's amps are like a thing that I haven't gone too far down the rabbit hole yet.
Uh-oh. Well, at least you have something to look forward to when you're done with the guitars.
Yeah. I am kind of curious. I see this quote here. Earthquaker Devices sounds like Monkey and Head of Corn live pedal boards. The 2000s.
What does that mean?
I'm not sure.
No, but I would like someone to elaborate on that, I think. I'm very curious what they mean.
We have another top chat from Andy Pessia.
Thanks,
Dave,
Andy.
thank you for all your hard work. I play a small box 50, Bucks and Boost, Friedman 412. Weekend gig, I played that effing thing so loud that the bottom of my feet felt weird from it vibrating on the stage floor. Best tone ever. Thank you.
Very nice.
Yes.
Play it loud.
Yeah, it's meant to be loud.
It's meant to be played.
That's cool. Thank you, man. Thanks for.
Okay, I know. I see what they mean now. The pedal board I was describing sounds like the pedal board that the people in Korn were using.
Oh, yes, I know what they're talking about. Actually,
I was confused for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you read them and you're like, you don't get them at first, and you're like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think we answered Robert Baker's question about your go-to guitar for designing pedals. Mm-hmm. So the Nash Telly. Robert Stizen Mark, can we see your ink? Nah, no one wants to see that, bro. No one wants to see that. Let's see what else.
Hey, you know, I just thought of something. You just mentioned ink. You know what we should do?
What's that?
It would be a fun show. Is we should have Bob Tyrell on. He's a famous tattoo artist, Bob Tyrell. He's from Detroit originally. Also tattoos in LA. He specializes in black and white portrait kind of things, and also like kind of horror motif kind of stuff. Amazing guy, but he's a guitar player. He's a lefty, Mark. He was in NAMM. We've been talking about doing some limited edition tattoo art guitars.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We'll see if that comes into fruition. But we could go on a total different tangent and like music and tattoos.
Yes. Yeah, I don't want to show off my tattoo. It's kind of weird. But sorry, man. Let's see. Oh, yeah, you answered that question, Dave. Courtney Cox of Iron Maidens.
Also the Kimmy Shelter of Starbenders.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So Jamie, I have a question. So can you take us kind of through like your products and like how you think of each of your lines of products? Or, just like what are some of your favorite pedals or some things that are new, like whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I think that would probably be easier.
Yeah, that would be easier than going through all of them because there's quite a few of them at this point.
There are a bunch of them.
I actually haven't looked recently, but when I was looking, there was a lot.
Yeah, there was a period of time where I was very prolific, and I still am, but now we have like a real release schedule. So it takes, essentially from the time a pedal is done until the time it goes to sale is 120 days. So it sort of makes it so we only do like 3 or 4 a year, but there was a time where like I would just be done with something and it's there. So that's why we have so many pedals in the line, because it used to be easy to do that, and now it is not. Some of my favorites, though, I always have to say, speaker cranker is like the simplest, probably.
The one knob.
Misunderstood pedal we make. Everyone thinks it's a booster. It's not. It is nothing special. It's just a single transistor gain stage with some clipping diodes on it. Very much like an electro distortion, essentially. Love that thing. I cannot play guitar without it. I made it because I was using the Music Man, and it just doesn't break up in the front end, and that added just a little bit of grit for it. And then I tried to take it away when I got the Marshall, and I can't play without it. So that's like a go-to for me. Eruptor, another one. Fuzz Face, absolute favorite fuzz pedal. And the Eruptor is just my current iteration of it. Prior to that, I had the Dream Crusher.
The Dream Crusher, yeah, that was great too.
Yeah, and I like that pedal too.
And the combination pedal. Didn't you have the combination with the octave and the what was that?
That's the Hoof Reaper. It's like a
Hoof Reaper,
like a super high gain version of a Tone Bender Mach 3 and like a Green Ringer style octave, and then the hook in it. Yeah, I like that pedal a lot too.
That was a good one.
The thanks. And the Eruptor is like my current Fuzz Face offering. Dream Crusher was before that, and then there's the Dirt Transmitter, and all those are kind of based on a Fuzz Face. But like that's like my go-to fuzz, always Fuzz Face style. And the goal with that Eruptor was, to everybody dimes the volume and fuzz on a Fuzz Face. If you don't, I don't know what kind of person you are.
You pretty much have to.
Yeah, like if you're trying to pretend like there's ranges of volume in the Fuzz Face, you're out of your mind.
Right.
So tell me there's no knobs in the Eruptor then?
There's one, and it's bias. And that's
perfect.
And then I did like just a little transformer pickup simulator at the input and buffered it.
Oh yeah, fix the buffer problem.
Yeah, so you can kind of put it anywhere in the chain, and it works fine.
Oh shoot, I need one.
Yeah, and that's kind of my go-to fuzz now. Other ones that I can't seem to escape: Grand Orbiter, Phaser. Phase is one of my favorite effects ever. I feel like it's underused. I wish everything was phase shifted. Nobody agrees with me on that. I love it. So that's one of my favorite pedals. Obviously, Avalanche Run, Dispatch Master, Afterneath. I use all those things a lot. Is there a reason Earthquaker's reverbs and delays aren't in stereo? CNC, Schematic, whatever. Yeah, I just don't really play in stereo. So it's not really on my radar. And I pretty much only make stuff that I would want to use. But lately, we get asked that question so much. The Avalanche Run is stereo because of that. The Pyramids Flanger is stereo because of that. There will probably be more stereo effects. But it's not a thing that like really is even on my radar. Like to me, when I hear reverb, I'm not thinking this should be stereo. Like not like a thought process that I have when I go into designing something. Why do chorus and phasers suck volume? They don't. I think it's a perceptive thing.
I think you're thinking of a small stone.
Yeah. Well, then there's some things that weren't made well.
We have a super chat question here from Harmonicaster. Jamie, I make the Harmonicaster electric harmonica. What pedal types are based on shape of a guitar tone, and which will work
guitar
on
note.
other guitar note, and which will work with other instruments?
People have come through our shop and like through NAMM with every kind of instrument imaginable, and my mind is always blown by like how it changes the pedal. But the pedals that I've heard people play harmonica through, which excuse me if I'm like minimizing the Harmonicaster, the Organizer sounds really cool. Speaker Cranker I liked a lot. All of the delay and reverb pedals. But the organizer has always stood out to me, like with any kind of wind instrument or like harmonica, it kind of takes on a new character.
I lost my place. I had a question, and I hate this chat sometimes. Like you just scroll, Dave, and it just disappears.
Well, yeah, because it's always putting you at the bottom, and then you just
Yeah. I had a question, but it's gone.
Oh, it's here.
Yeah, but I can't find it anymore. There was a question, I think, from Robert Baker. That was what it was. It was okay. Did you see that?
Hold on. Yeah, I'm on SoundDoc.
Oh, he's busy. Let me find a question for you, Jamie.
Spatial delivery. You like it? Yeah, I like the spatial delivery. I made it.
Wally Walters, which pedals are best for reggae that Earthquaker makes?
I don't know.
A reverb?
To be honest with you, if we're talking about, I'm not like terribly familiar with a lot of reggae, but if we're talking about like dub, I would say Disaster Transport Senior has a really good kind of lo-fi, slapbacky Space Echo kind of sound to it, and the modulation kind of reminds me of the Space Echo that is used a ton on this like old dub records. Was there a pedal that was a surprise hit for you? I don't know who that's directed to, but for me, it was the Afterneath.
Was that why was it a surprise for you?
You know, I thought it was super cool when I made it, but there wasn't anything really like it. And that's always kind of tough to tell. Like it can go either way, where just like initial excitement and then people get it and, you know, that's that. But it has maintained for the entire time it's been out. Really,
that's
like
cool.
Really great sales. Like it's like one of our most popular pedals, and it was like I had no basis for it before it came out. Like what?
So, what are your newest pedals that are coming out or shown recently?
The newest pedal is Swiss Things, which is first for us in that it's a utility pedal. It doesn't really make any sound, but it's essentially my answer to all the problems on my own pedal board. Which
yes, I did see that. Yeah. So it's like interface and AB and this and that,
and a loop. Yeah,
two effects loops, a tuner out, an expression out for volume control, and then an ABY box and a booster.
Yeah,
so it kind of contained all of these like utility pedals that I've had troubles with in the past into one thing. So yeah, it's also
very cool.
Oddly enough, one of the most misunderstood pedals that we've made. A lot of people it opened the door to like a whole bunch of new questions that like none of our people are used to getting, and like things that really can't be answered, like how can I change my amp channels with it? And it's like, well, you can't. Or like, how do I put it in an effects loop? It's like, well, it is an effects loop. It's just a lot of interesting questions. I think it's confused a lot of people, but it's done pretty well. Prior to that, we did a limited edition pedal called the Black Ash, which is like.
And there was a question here about that, which was if you could tell us about it. What exactly is in the Black Ash? And then he says that prices are crazy now. So
yeah, prices are crazy. Like sometimes I think the prices are just like a joke. They're like $420 or $666. Like I don't know what people are looking for real. But the basis of like topology wise, it's essentially a Tone Bender Mach 2 with 0 of the same parts that are in a Tone Bender Mach 2. So every value is changed pretty drastically, and it's silicon. And it used 2 paper and oil caps for the input and output that, you know, believe it or not, I feel like made a huge impact on the sound. It was a lot like just rounder sounding to me. And it kind of mellowed out the fuzz and made it a little overdrivey, a little growly sounding. And it had just a really interesting sound. But when we decided to put it in production, I could only get so many of the paper and oil caps.
Mm-hmm.
So we just made a limited version. But that is actually something that I've wanted to do for a while. I want to do more because there's a lot of things that I feel like I made that don't really belong in production forever. I feel like, but I like them enough that I think they would be like cool for a little while to make.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the world doesn't need more like germanium boosters or like fuzz pedals, but some of them I think warrant existing at least for a little while. And my initial idea, even with that Black Ash, was to make like 20 and put them up on Reverb. But with a giant dealer network and international distribution, it posed an enormous problem. It's not something that we can really do at this point because, you know, you have, you know, your
obligations.
Yeah, to all these people. So, you know, everyone has to get some. We figured out here's how many would make it so everybody could have some amount of them to sell. And it sounds like a lot. It's 1,500, but it wasn't. Like they were all gone, even from the stores and distributors in 8 hours.
Well, certainly when you add a little bit of that myth about limited edition, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, they go quick.
Yeah, I wasn't really prepared for that. And like, you know, it looks and sounds like a great marketing tool, but like it was the truth at the same time. But yeah, we still get calls every day for it. Like that's the downside, I guess, really is like, you know, not everybody can get it, and people do kind of, you know, they buy them and they try to sell them for a bunch of money, and that's kind of, you can't really control that at all. But it is like from a working perspective, from a customer service perspective, it's kind of a little bit, you know, it's just more stuff that people have to deal with on a daily basis. So that kind of like, I got to think about that a little bit more too next time we do limited things.
Yeah, I know Robert Keeley just did some limited stuff too, and it seemed to go over quite well.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I got a good question for you. Do you ever think you're going to run out of pedal ideas?
I wonder that too. But at the same time, like I said, you know, like the way that we release pedals now, like, you know, it's like 120-day lead up time or whatever. You know, and that's like rough. Like that's just kind of pretty much like this is how long it really takes to get everything in order.
Yeah, sure.
That I really have, I'm still working from a backlog. There was a time where I was working from a real backlog. Like there are 10 things done ready to go and we can pick and choose them. And now I'm like still in design process, but like I'm like 10 different things. And I'm a little bit less, like I used to be like a little bit more picky about certain weird things like delay pedals. Like, oh, we already have 2 delays. Why make another one? Now I don't really think like that. It's like if I have an idea, I kind of see it through to the end. And then at the end be like, is this unique enough? Or is it just sound good enough in general? Like it doesn't necessarily have to be the most unique thing on earth. It's just, do I think it sounds good? Do I think other people would be interested? And that's kind of where it goes into like that process space. I'm sure it's a lot similar to how you do things too. Like, but now I'm kind of just working through a lot of those ideas. But I do wonder, like sometimes I'll get through a thing and just be like, man, why did I spend so long on this? It's not that cool.
That's funny. We had a question. Robert Baker asked earlier, Dave, any plans for a Phil X20?
Yeah, no, probably not. No.
Okay.
I mean, it's really not much different than some other 20s. You know, it's not. There's not enough to offer in that format, I don't think. And then we also have a Adam Gothridge, something like that. Sorry if I butchered your name. He asked me, I have a SW45, which is a Sweetwater Edition 45 from Egnator. and he asked me if I had something to do with that amp, or he thought I had something to do with it. Yes, I did have something to do with that amp. And wonderful feedback with very little gain. I don't know if I can really elaborate on that. I think, well, first of all, I'm having a hard time remembering what the exact circuit was that I helped put in there. So I really can't totally elaborate on it, but yeah, it was a cool amp. And you probably got it at a great price. And it's similar to some of my other stuff that I make. So we kind of collaborated on it. Bruce had it to a certain point, and then I kind of tweaked it from there.
Chris Nagy has a question. What about the Jaguar, Jamie?
Me? I have a couple of them, but it's not my ideal guitar. It's too twangy, too thin for me.
Gotcha. What did you think about Danny Gatton's tone? Love Danny Gatton's tone. Although I was not, great player, just I didn't really like his original music. At least that's for me. Let's see.
What else we got here?
Dave, will Mullard or Sylvania EL34 sound great in any of your amps?
Sure.
And that is, can the amp benefit from new old stop tubes?
Well, they'll certainly sound a little different. Benefit. That's it. I find it kind of interesting because I've had two identical amps, and one would have an old German Siemens, RFT EL34 in it, and then one would have kind of the modern equivalent, which is an EL34 in it. And virtually they sound identical if you turn one knob, a half a notch. So it's questionable whether or not that granted, if you're using a vastly different style EL34, the Muller EL34 than say to a JJ EL34 sounds different. The problem with the NOS tubes is you're never going to get them again. So then when you put them in and you have it that way for a while, if you want repeatable, wanted to repeat this, you might not be able to at some point in time.
Yeah.
So I would actually generally go for newer stuff and make it sound as good as we can with this newer technology, so to speak, and or crappier, or however you want to say it. But I think modern tubes can stack up with old ones. They just sound a little different.
Yeah, I would agree on that.
Doug,
1 second. I'll be right back.
Oh yeah,
no problem.
Go for it. I wanted to ask him how much time he had left, by the way.
What else we got? We got some more stuff for me somewhere in here, probably.
Dave, in a wet, dry, wet rig, and this was from Daniel Judge, is a solid-state stereo power amp better than a stereo tube power amp? What would you recommend?
Neither is necessarily better. It's whatever's going to give you, if you're going to run dry in your wet cabinets. So when you say your delays are off, you have 3 dry cabinets of equal volume. Then what makes those wet cabinets sound the most like the center cabinet? Depends. Depends. I mean, the Matrix power amp does quite well for that scenario. In the old days, we used to use H&H power amps, which were great. The Matrix weighs like 5 pounds, and a tube power amp weighs like 50 or more. So I don't know.
Gotcha.
We got another one from Mark here. Dave, do you played a Stevens Nags? Yes. Great guitar. Quite cool. Really big fat neck, especially on the second version of it. Excellent guitars. Something from Vinny.
Vinny Moretti.
Vinny Moretti. Thank you, Vinny.
Yeah,
Gents,
thank you.
I have 2 questions. This amp takes pedals well. What does that entail? A small batch of IE4 preamps. Can you elaborate on that preamp? Okay, Vinny, what makes an amp take? Any amp can take a pedal well. It's just a question of, is that pedal kind of made to go into a clean channel, so to speak, or a semi-gritty? Or sometimes if an amp is very dirty, maybe this pedal doesn't sound that great into that very dirty amp. You know, like if you put like a fuzz face on 10 into a already blazingly dirty amp, it kind of doesn't sound that great. Now, if you put the fuzz face into a semi-broken up amp, I think it sounds the best. Like a Marshall up about halfway on an old 4-input Marshall where it's just crunching some, and then take it over the top with the fuzz face. Cool. Fuzz face total clean amp, that could be questionable maybe at times too. Depends on the sound you're going for, though.
Yeah.
You know, but yet there's other fuzzes that might work great into a totally clean platform. There's not one thing that makes it take pedals well, so to speak. It depends on the pedal. And as far as the IE4 preamp, that was a great preamp. Bruce and I designed that together way back in Bruce designed it. I helped him tweak it way back in the early days, in early 90s, I do believe. Very cool.
What's the basis of it? What's it sound like?
It was Bruce's. I mean, it was the sounds that he sort of created, and then I kind of helped tweak a little bit. Way back at that time, based off mods that he had done previous. It's sort of the idea of the preamp was a clean channel, a broken up Fender channel, semi-broken up Fender channel, then more of a crunchy Marshall channel, and then like a higher gain thing.
Gotcha.
All discrete, 4 channels.
Okay. And then the other question, okay, we got, well, maybe Jamie wants to answer that question as far as amps that this amp takes pedals well. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I tend to find any amp that has like a bright cap or any kind of bright setting.
That'll mess up your pedal.
Yeah, usually I don't like that with pedals. But you know, when I think amp that takes pedals well, I usually am thinking of some kind of 6L6 based amp, like a Fender clean amp. But even those, you know, you kind of hit or miss. Like tons of people, I see a ton of, and I should say, I feel like that's also subjective because I see a ton of people using twin reverbs with like giant pedal boards.
Yeah.
I just don't like the way any distortion or fuzz or overdrive
sounds like through a twin reverb.
Yeah, sounds like through a twin reverb. Like it just doesn't sound good to me. But you know, I think that's relative. Like
I tend to like, depends, like any sort of lighter overdrive boosty pedal. I want the amp to be semi-dirty to begin with.
Yeah,
like if you're going to use like a tube screamer style pedal, it helps if that amp already is semi-broken up.
Yeah.
Then it just takes it over the top and sounds great. Tube screamer into a clean amp,
questionable.
Questionable at best. Yeah. A boost pedal into clean amp. Well, it's going to give you more volume.
Yeah.
Questionable.
Exactly.
So again, it's sort of dependent on what pedal it is and what sound you're going for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, most lower gain overdrives, though, I think the amp should be a little dirty, period.
There's like one exception to that rule, I feel like, and again, I'm going to go back to this Music Man.
Which pedal was that?
The Music Man HG130, even though it can be clean, but I think that amp was designed to kind of roll off your high end, so it really agrees with a lot of stuff. But,
so I got a weird amp for you that you would have loved, I think. Maybe you've seen one before. So I had Neil Young's Baldwin Exterminator amp in through the shop.
I have never heard of it, but I love it already. It's
You
called.
need to look it up. It has 6. Wait, is it 6 speakers in it? It has like an 8-inch, a 12-inch, and a 15-inch. 2 sets of them. It's super tall. It's like if you took a super reverb and made it about 5 feet tall.
There was like a PV amp that was kind of like that too.
It's super tall, and the funniest thing about it is it has a handle on top, and we were like looking at it going,
yeah, like who's gonna carry it?
Did you have to be like the giant or something, the 20-foot tall giant, to pick that up by the handle? What as good as this handle do? But that amp is super cool. It has a fantastic trem and reverb in it, and it's a solid state amp, but it distorts so nicely, and it sounds so full, and it has this shimmer to it with this trem and reverb and stuff. Oh man!
I just found the picture of it. That is an insane speaker combo.
It's an insane amp. I just looked at it and I go, well, I just kind of want one just to have sitting here because it looks so cool.
Right.
Looked like it should have come out of a bowling alley, maybe. But but when we got it, when we fixed the issue that was having and got it up and going, it was like, wow, this thing sounds cool. It's unique.
So we have a question from Spencer. Why do Line 6 amps sound so bad in the live setting? Because they suck.
I don't know what you're talking about. They got like the Ethernet port on it, and you can put a CD in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The other question, does Bad use the same transformer suppliers for all its amps, Dave? And if so, I'm guessing the new SLOs will not have DeYoungs.
No, depends on the supplier. No, there's lots of suppliers, like a ton of different ones. And the new SLOs will probably not have DeYoungs because DeYoung will not make them anymore. But that is I can't really say, but
right.
But let me say this, that there will be a suitable replacement.
I'm sure it'll sound great.
That actually might sound better. So even Mike said that. So I wouldn't worry about it because that's a very important thing to us. So so don't worry about it. But the others are off the table. It's an impossibility. It won't happen. Done. Can't happen.
All right. Jamie, how you doing on time? Want to go for like another few more minutes?
Yeah, I'm good. I got time. I got like at least another half hour if you need be.
Okay. I was thinking we'd go for like 10, 15 more minutes, Dave, if that works for you.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm good.
Okay.
That's a short one.
Yes. It's a weeknight. I'm fading. Dave, can you tell me how to mod my ray gun I got from Steve Stevens in Chicago?
No.
Yeah.
Is that an actual ray gun? Did you get
That's an actual ray gun.
You know, oddly enough, that's the first time I met Steve Stevens in an elevator at the Van Nuys guitar show, the first one I went to, and I told him this, but the ray gun sound that's in the solo for Rebel Yell ending is the first time I ever really noticed the electric guitar. Like, man, that's cool. What is that? And like tried to figure it out. I never figured it out, but then I heard later it was like an ADA flanger. Flanger, whatever.
No, I think originally it was done with some old Lexicon PCM 41s.
Okay.
And modulated in a certain way, and they'd run away in this weird way to sound like that.
I love that.
I think later he figured out the ray gun thing.
Yeah, I told him that, and then he actually used an Arpanoid And his only response to it was, "Hey, I use an Arpanoid. It came full circle." And then the elevator door shut. And I was like,
Yeah.
That was a fitting meeting of Steve Stevens.
That's cool.
Yeah, he does have an Arpanoid. Yeah.
Vance Voltron asks, thoughts on the Moore EH lawsuit?
Dave?
Whoops.
I gotta say this. I don't know if everyone knows. I mean, I guess I don't really know, but like, it's super hard for a U.S. company to win a lawsuit in another country.
Yeah.
So that's fairly impressive. And if what they're saying is true, that's crazy.
Well, here's another thing that's I find kind of odd, and I just don't know enough about this. So I kind of don't really want to comment. But the Moore company is quite a large company, and with tons of engineers. I mean, like, it's a big company.
Yeah,
and I know someone that visited the company, so it seems so strange to me that they copied the software. But I mean,
yeah, I guess that is true. But I mean, if they clearly won, so
yeah.
I mean, if it's still in the code that it's copywritten by them, that's nuts.
That is nuts.
That's pretty nuts, and that was whoops.
Yeah, I gotta tell you that I love the advertisement that they made for it. It's pretty funny. I think the software pirates walk the plank.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
so goofy, but really funny,
but effective. Yeah,
it's pretty great.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Where I'm looking here, Jamie, favorite non-EQ'd phasers, EQ'd phasers. From Guitar Guru Network. What's up, Keith?
Ross phaser. I really like that. Small stone. A working small stone. I also really like. I've got this. What is it? I think it's called the Sweeper, which I think might just be a Phase 45. I don't know who made it. Really great sounding phaser. A Schaller, like it's in a wah enclosure. Phaser, I really like that a lot too. Of all like the effects types, like I'd buy a bunch of fuzz pedals and overdrive and stuff like that, because I still don't feel like I have totally nailed like my perfect overdrive or but with phaser, with the Grand Orbiter, I pretty much got exactly the phase sound that I was looking for, so I kind of stopped buying phasers. I don't really know like what's available now, but those ones are some of my favorites. What's your favorite phaser? Your guys' favorite phaser?
I use the a reissue script Phase 90. The 74 custom hand wired one, and then it's modded by Analog Man.
Yeah,
I have original Phase 45 I've had since I was 15 years old. I love that pedal. It's more univibe sounding than a Phase 90 is.
Yeah.
Kind of a poor man's univibe, so to speak. That one's great. It's an old Block Logo one. And then I have small stones. They serve a purpose. I have script Logo Phase 90s, and I only like the original script Logo ones. Because the vintage ones definitely sound different than reissues.
Oh yeah,
which is quite interesting. And I think it has to do with the reissue 74 hand wired. It's made the same way, but they use metal film resistors, and a lot of the original ones use carbon comp resistors in them.
Yeah, a little darker sounding.
And the original ones have a little more like I want to call juicy feeling to them. They have this little more compression and a little more kind of analog gooiness to them.
Yeah,
just kind of cool.
feel like even just like that little addition of like, it's lower noise and tighter tolerance for metal film. It will, like, in the peaks of that phase,
takes a little slightly. The metal film slightly sterilizes a little bit at times.
Yeah, it's like a little clean or something.
Yeah,
it goes bright instead of saturates.
Depends on what you're designing, I guess, and
yeah.
Using carbon composites isn't exactly the best choice these days.
No, I still love doing it though. Like, I don't know, if I start making something that way, I'll just keep going.
Yeah. Well, it makes. I mean, it all makes kind of a difference.
Yeah,
subtle differences, but
I used it in the Eruptor, and like I made the Eruptor with like what I would call our stock parts, like 8th watt metal film resistors, and like metal film caps. Sounds totally different to me. It's too harsh. And then I made it with like 1 watt metal film resistors, or half watt, just to compare it against the half watt carbon comps that we ended up using in it. And even that, like, it sounded different, like different enough to me to like be like, yeah, I like it best the way that I started making it, which was, make it like an old fuzz face or whatever.
Yeah. So that makes it
makes a difference.
Travis Posey actually asked a question about the Eruptor. He asked, "Can you tell me the story behind the Earthquake or Eruptor pedal for PRS?"
I don't know what that means. I saw that earlier. We didn't make anything for PRS.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's another question that just caught my eye. Oh, I mean, to go back to the phasers, I forgot one important one that sounds great is the DoD 490.
Oh yeah, that's great.
It's a really good sounding phaser, and what I think is I really like the ones that are OTA based as opposed to like a phase 90 like JFETs or the optical ones. Like something the OTAs distort easily. They're a little
Neutron phaser too, also cool.
Yeah.
The old Maestro phase shifter with little switches. Weird looking things.
Oh yeah.
That was more Leslie like.
Yeah, I have the one Maestro that's just like it's black wedge with 1 knob for speed. That pedal sounds amazing. Yeah. I don't know what's in there. I've never looked.
Let's see. I have some Earthquaker pedals. They are great, says Spencer.
Thank you, Spencer. What delay is the Avalanche based on? It's not really based on anything. It's kind of an amalgamation of a bunch of things.
Any plans to make a better electric Mistress?
Oh boy,
not for me.
No. That's like that's a pedal full of noises. I mean, Hartman did for a while.
Yeah,
their flanger was a electric Mistress based flanger.
I think I made all the flanger I'm ever gonna make with the pyramids. It kind of covers all the ground. I like in flanging.
Any Earthquaker pedals based on the Shin Fuzz?
Yeah. Terminal. The Terminal was based on like the companion, like what is that? What model is it? FY6 is the Super Fuzz. It's based on like the 2-knob companion fuzz. But my Jax version of it, the Jax branded one, which sounds pretty much the same, that is a horrible sounding pedal, but in like a great way. I feel like if you play that Chenet fuzz super loud through an already distorted amp, it's completely disorienting. Like the mids are scooped in a way that, like, at least for me, it just like throws off my eardrums. Like it makes me disoriented. I love that pedal, not a favorite of others. So.
I love Mutron octave dividers are one of my favorite pedals.
Yeah, that's a great pedal,
especially through a really loud amp.
Yeah.
You know what pedal I had like total gas for was that plasma pedal.
The Game Changer.
Yeah, the Game Changer. Yeah,
that pedal sounds great.
And I went and listened to it, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm going to buy it.
Well, it has that same like sound though, where it's like disorienting and terrible.
Right.
But in a good way, I think. Like I mean that as a compliment. Like if you want a really nasty fuzz, like that does it.
It is very nasty sounding. Yeah.
I love. There's several great fuzzes from. What's the company?
Death by Audio.
Death by Audio. Yeah.
Oh god,
a bunch of cool fuzzes that they have. I love Fuzz War.
Yeah.
Really cool fuzz.
Yeah.
Several others that were great.
I love Death by Audio.
I can't believe I just read your mind on that.
Yeah. They're truly some cool. I tend to like fuzzes that sound like the world's ending.
Yeah, and they nail that.
They really nail that industrial sounding world.
Yeah.
Kind of fuzz kind of thing.
Yeah, the Apocalypse is one of my favorite.
Yes, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I
mean, the sound of it is amazing, and it looks great.
Yeah.
Good looking pedal.
Tell us about the Park Fuzz, because we just had Mitch Colby on, who's from Park.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Can you tell us
how that came about? Is a friend of mine, Anna. She actually works at Earthquaker now. At the time, she was working at Guitar World. She was a friend of Mitch's and knew that Mitch was going to relaunch the Park amp brand. You know, Mitch makes amps. And he was interested in doing the Park Fuzz pedal, and she kind of hooked us up.
Oh, cool.
To get that started. So I'd met him before at like a New York amp show. He's such a nice guy, and you know, his amps are great. The Park's amps are amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, it just worked out right away. It was a good excuse for me to track down an original Park Fuzz and buy it for an exorbitant amount of money. And then try and then try to recreate it with modern parts. And you know, I think I did a good job. I think there are settings that sound exactly like the Park Fuzz, and then it kind of goes above that and under that in the gain range of things. It's kind of hard to like totally nail a vintage pedal, especially when the one that I have probably doesn't sound like any of the other ones.
Yeah.
None of them sound the same. I am disappointed that I couldn't get it in the original enclosure, because at the time I couldn't afford to do that. But I would love to make it look just like the old one did too. But you know, first and foremost, it was designing it for modern manufacturability, the way that we do it. So that's pretty much what my goal was with it. And it's a pedal that, like, a lot of times too, like I'll plug it in every once in a while and be like, man, totally forgot about like how good this sounds. Like I enjoy playing. It's more of like a distortion almost than like a true fuzz.
Robert Baker has a question. Jamie, what pedal had the shortest development time?
I mean, some real simple stuff like arrows was very quick. Something that's a little bit more elaborate, like the Bit Commander, I think probably came together in a couple of weeks.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times though that I'm not so lucky. Most things anymore will take like at least 1 or 2 revisions. I don't know. I find, maybe it's just me, Dave, I don't know, like I'll make something and it sounds one way on the breadboard, and then I get it into an enclosure and I have to like kind of chase the thing that was on the breadboard, because there's so many factors that play into that. They like when you get it into an enclosure, 9 times out of 10 for me, it doesn't work the same way it was working.
Or sometimes you have to live with something for a while too.
Yeah.
And then after a while, you're like, God, I really don't like this.
Yeah. And I do more of that now than I used to. Like things will be done and I will have it for like a year or more. Like there are things on my pedal board here that have been on there for like 3 years that I'm still like, don't know. This kind of works for me. It doesn't work in every situation. Don't know if other people will.
Right.
So I've been doing, I do a lot more of that, a lot more of sitting on things now than I ever used to. The pedal that took me the longest was the Pyramids.
How long was that?
Over 2 years.
2 years.
And it's all DSP, and again, I work with the same guy who did all the code for the Avalanche run. But it was like we went through like a million flangers. Just like, what is it that we like about like the Electra flanger or ADA, or like what are all these elements that are cool, and then how can we do some modern things and just sounds that I like in general, and get it to sound really good. And there's a reason why flange isn't a very popular effect. It's a very harsh sound to listen to over and over again. So there was long breaks in like working on it.
That's what I love about, we're speaking about Van Halen earlier. I love that when he used effects like the flanger, it was like for a very short period of time, just for like as
distinct accent parts.
Exactly. Not like, the whole song, but it was just like this little piece that you hear it and go, ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, very sparingly. To be honest, that's kind of like how I learned how to use pedals too. It's like I'll have big pedal boards, but you just use them here and there sparingly.
Yeah, it's almost like you're playing the pedals.
Yeah, it's a little bit more of an impact too.
Exactly. Yeah. Jamie, this is from David Cheon. Jamie, would you ever put modulation on the Avalanche run? And I'm just gonna, with that question, I'm just gonna run to the bathroom and be right back.
Okay. Thought about it when we kind of updated it about a year ago and gave it a little bit a newer reverb, and the reverb has a little bit of modulation in it, but it's preset. We kind of maxed out on controls on that pedal too. There's like a point where it's overkill.
Right.
So I think I'd probably leave it as is. I've been leaning more and more towards that too lately, is just limiting the controls.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Now becoming like a personal preference. If every pedal could have one knob, great. But
I feel that way about amps, but other people don't.
I feel that way too. I feel like that's all you need.
I mean, meanwhile, I have a new amp that has like a gazillion knobs on it. And I'm like going, oh.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say.
Well, it's cool. It all serves a purpose, but and it's cool. But if I had it my way, it'd be one channel.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you need to have all the control over everything.
Yeah. You're not making it just for me,
right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. See, I gotta get a little bit out of that mindset. I'm still like very deep in this. Like, what do I want?
Yeah.
Mindset. But
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See, I gotta feel comfortable with it.
Oh God. Let's see. What else we got here? Who do you both look up to as pedal and amp builders? You first.
Me?
Yeah.
God.
You kind of touched on the amp thing already, sort of.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I think that I feel like a lot of amps that I hear, like new amps, this isn't like I think you've done a really great job with all these amps, and like everything that I've heard that you worked on has been amazing. You worked on that Wampler amp, right?
Yeah.
About it, yeah.
Yeah, that amp sounds great.
Yeah.
The pedal wise, like it's hard. Like I don't know. Like there are companies that I really admire and I really liked and have for a long time. Just in terms of aesthetic and like what they do and their general vibe of a company. And for me, that would be Damn and Death by Audio.
Yeah.
I think that Ollie and I kind of come from the same kind of background Ollie from Death by Audio. So obviously they resonate with me. But those are kind of inspirations in starting pedals. And then, just things like MXR in general, like just their longevity and like staying true to exactly the thing that they do.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of all the old MXR pedals.
Yeah.
Huge fan of all those. They're always solid workhorses, great pedals. Huge fan of older Boss pedals and the new stuff they've been doing lately with Yoshi at the helm.
Yeah.
I think they're doing really cool, great stuff. Obviously, your company, I've always been a fan of your guys' pedals. Death by Audio for sure is great. I mean, there's some cool JHS pedals that I love.
Yeah.
There's Analog Man. I like a good Sunface and and he's a great guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people for me to like.
I don't want to touch on everyone. There's actually a lot of people when I sit here and think about it that I appreciate and that I am friends with, and
exactly,
that's why we have so many people on this show from all these companies and stuff. We truly are all friends between each other. We're not. It's not like a competition thing, or I don't look at it that way.
Yeah, I definitely do.
I always look at it like I'm going to make my product that I make, and if you like it, then you should buy that. And if you like Jamie's product, you should buy his. Or if you like Soldano's product, you should buy his or Bogner or whatever.
There's enough room for
everybody.
you like.
There's enough room for everyone.
Yeah,
and you can't force someone to like your stuff.
It's true.
That's what you can't force someone to buy it. It's got to speak to them to buy it, just like any of us that buy anything.
Right.
It's like you see a guitar you want, and it's like, oh, that one's speaking to me. I want that one. Or whatever drum set. Your Vista Light there,
Yeah.
So, and I do think everyone should be friends in this industry too, and we all can help each other in ways,
Yeah,
it's like if you should have a relationship where you're like, hey, where do you get this thing from? And it's like, oh, I get it from here. Where do you get this from? Oh, I get it from here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
I mean, I think that there's more of that goes on than people realize.
Oh yeah, there's tons of it.
And I mean, we try to be friends with everybody. What's the point in not being friends with everybody?
Yeah.
We're all doing the same thing, even if it doesn't look like it to other people. Like we're all making stuff and selling it through the same networks in the same fashion. No matter how different it is.
Here's a good question from Robert Baker. Where do you guys think the pedal market is headed in 2019? Distortion, modulation, more of a combo pedal deal? What are your thoughts?
There's a lot of pedals out there.
A lot of pedals out there. I have like a theory. I guess not even a theory. It's an observation. Like people are trying to do too much with one thing. That's my general feeling on pedals nowadays. And I'm not saying that's bad. I mean, people are obviously making the things they want. But for me, like I just always kind of go for the mindset of like, it can do a couple things, but they should all be interrelated. There shouldn't be a kitchen sink because not everything is going to be good. Like you just can't really nail everything if you're trying to do that. And like, if you have a pedal that does like 10 different kinds of effects, you can generally only use one of those at once. It just sort of seems like overkill to me. Like I guess it's also just the way that I play too, and coming from a designer standpoint, like I think like doing one thing super well, and if it's going to be elaborate, like let it just be like additional like features to the main focus of the pedal. But like the trend towards supercomputers as pedals and definitely on amps, I'm not really on board, I guess. And I feel like I kind of see a lot of that popping up, a lot more of that popping up.
Well, here's a question from someone. Do you think modeling amps will ultimately hurt the pedal market badly? No.
No.
I don't think so. Because, I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but, I've been building rigs for people for all my life, right? And I've been programming things and doing things.
Yeah.
forever. And anymore, I pretty much don't want to do it. I mean, not building rigs, but boy, when we start to get into deeper programming of things, I'm just like, I just want to claw my eyes out. It's just like, God, so much time spent with sitting there tweaking and tweaking and tweaking to approximate the sound that you once had with your tube amp with your pedal board.
Right.
I'm just like, well, just use your tube amp and your pedal board.
Right.
I mean, I don't.
That's
understand, and I still think there's so many styles of music out there that just do not agree with. You know, are you going to see the Black Keys using modeling? And no.
Yeah. It's one of those things though too, like with the programming of things and like anything where you gotta like menu dive and stuff, you spend more time, like you gotta love technology. Like you don't have to love guitar to do that. You have to love technology. And like at the end of the day, when you're done with that, I don't want to play guitar. Like if I pull something out where I got a menu dive and like pull out a manual and preset stuff, recall, like I don't even want to touch the guitar after that. I just want to go lay down. But
it's fun for a little while, like it seems, but once you have to do that on an ongoing basis, it just becomes a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do think there's a market for all that stuff. There are people who love doing that, and I have no experience with Axe effects, but I've played through a couple Kempers, and like I've never had to like profile anything or do it. I've heard that it's easy to do. It sounded fine. It sounded fine to me. But I can tell you this is like lately I've been designing stuff through a headphone amp, and it's a modeling headphone amp. And the first like week that I was, working on something through it, I was working on a delay. So it was a pretty clean signal. I was like, this sounds pretty good. And then I started to hear it for real, like over time, like it's the false, the like algorithm, like the makeup of the fake frequency. It's not pleasing. It reacts the same way every single time. There is no dynamics to it. There is no magic in it at all, but it is a flat platform for a sterile sounding track. And some people's ears, I think, like younger people's ears, I think, are trained to that. Like people who grew up listening to MP3s and iTunes, like that frequency response is not annoying to them. Whereas
I would totally agree with you with this.
Yeah, like that grates on me over time, and it's not like a digital versus analog or real versus modeling thing. It's just like that. That's a false frequency response. It's like even though it's all there, it's not real. If that makes any sense, and I could hear that over time, and it grates on your ears, like it wears your ears out.
Oh yeah.
I have it on certain albums that have come out in recent years where I'm like, I can't even listen to this more than once. It's just something. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, so it's a little rough, but I do think there's a market for all of that stuff. I don't think a modeling amp is going to take over one thing or pedals take over another thing. I mean, there's something for everybody and all that stuff. That's why MXR has longevity, right?
Sure. Why pedals are still selling. Obviously, there's enough pedal manufacturers to drown yourself in.
Yeah, this is true.
I mean, not all of them will eventually survive, but the survival of the fittest, probably in that respect.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. There was a question earlier. I don't know if you guys got to it from. It was from Keith from the Guitar Guru Network. Any plans, Jamie, for a Earthquaker Devices amp?
Well, we did make an amp, and it turns out it's not so easy to manufacture amps. So we kind of left it.
Not for the right price point.
Yeah, exactly. So we left it at 20.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I would love to make amplifiers. I am not an amplifier designer.
It was cool looking.
Yeah, thanks. You know about it. Sent it to Dave. He's seen it.
Yeah.
But we got a guy who works for us, Joe Golden, he designs amps, repairs amps, does a bunch of stuff, and he's got, you know, it's like his dream. And I've got a lot of ideas, and I'm very opinionated about amps. And together, like, we talk about it all the time. But it's hard
market.
Yeah, it's a hard market. That's one thing, Dave. You would know better than anyone.
Yeah.
But you know, for the love of doing it, I would like to, but I just don't see it as a reality at the moment.
Gotcha. I have another question for you. I was on your website and something caught my eye, which was the Earthquaker Devices comic book.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Octoskull?
Yeah, Matt Horak. He's our illustrator. So all of the pedals, I think the Depths was the first pedal he did the illustrations for, and he's done pretty much every one since then. With the exception of we did the Data Corruptor together, and then I did, you know, I'll say it loosely, the Swiss things, but there's not really art on it. But Matt has done the illustrations for all of those pedals, and he's been a comic book artist forever, and that was like his goal, was to eventually do comic books. And he started working at Earthquaker because we were all friends, and he was working in the shipping, wanted to try the art on the pedal, ended up kind of taking over all the illustrations for new ones, and then he was going to Comic Cons and like showing off his work and stuff there, and he got hired by Marvel. He does Deadpool out of the Earthquaker shop now.
Oh, cool! Wow.
Yeah, he works late nights. Usually comes in around 9 p.m. and works till like 5 a.m. just doing the comic books for Marvel, and then whenever we need him to do something for us, he'll do it. So the Octoskull was like, before he got hired for Marvel, like an outlet for him to do a comic book based on all the pedals. So it was entirely his idea.
That's super cool. I'm a huge comic geek, so love it.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Well, Dave, I don't know about you. I'm getting pretty tired.
Well, let me ask one question. Mark asked me, Dave, can you elaborate on an axe effects in the loop versus pedals? I know Mark Day used to use it with the BE50 when he worked with you, and now I see you use an Obscura, a DD500. Obscura is a cool pedal. I just put that on the pedal board at NAMM because we had it laying around, and I just wanted to throw a delay on there just to have a delay. And the DD500 I love. I think that's a great pedal in the loop of an amp. And Axe Effects is a whole nother level of stuff and more programming and stuff. If you just want a great delay, a DD500 I think might be better. Maybe because it's simpler and easier to use. You know, and I think maybe the Axe Effects, if you just want to use it for delays and reverbs, might be a bit overkill.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope that answered something.
Okay. Well, Jamie, it was awesome to have you on the show. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, man. Hopefully we got to a lot of people's questions and answered a lot. I learned a lot about.
Thanks to everyone who used Top Chat.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We do appreciate it. Next show.
That Top Chat really makes sure your question gets answered. I mean, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we'll miss some stuff, or sometimes we'll miss questions, and we don't intend to miss every question, but we can't sometimes answer everything.
Yeah, and like I said, the chat thing gets loopy sometimes. So
yeah, exactly. It's kind of hard to follow occasionally.
Yeah, I think our next guest is Thomas Blug on the 25th. That's my.
You would know. Just tell me the week before.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Yeah, I think it's Thomas
on the
Blug
25th of March. Of March. Okay, got it.
No. Yeah.
No.
Yes. February 25th.
February 25th, Monday the 25th. Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, that one's got to be at like 12 noon or something, doesn't it?
Yes.
Because he's in Germany.
Yep. That's going to be a day one. And then we're working on getting Rabia Masad. Not sure the date on that. We also have Steve Ferris from
Mr. Fame.
Yeah.
That's sometime in the near future. Probably Richie Faulkner will be on also.
Yes, we got to work on that. That's cool.
We're working on that. And more to come. Actually, I have another one that I'm going to pass by you, Mark.
Oh, cool. All right, sweet. Well, we'll be back. Jamie, everybody check out Earthquaker Devices pedals. They make awesome stuff. Go to the website, Google it. Any people can find your pedals, Jamie, everywhere pretty much, I assume?
Pretty much everywhere.
All right.
Places.
They're all over the place.
Yep.
Walmart.com.
Amazon. All right, guys. We'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And
Jamie, stay on for a minute.
Yeah.